In today's video, I'm going to show you how to build a barn door. I'll show you how I built and finished the door, installed the hardware, and added some really cool features. So let's get started. And as far as the design of the door, I decided to do a tongue and groove style door, and I decided to add 4 inches to the shed opening overall dimensions. So I ended up with a door that was 52 inches wide and 84 inches tall. Once I had all my dimensions, I could go ahead and start making my cuts on the miter saw. The framing of the door is 2x6 boards, and on the inside I have 1x6 tongue and groove boards for the paneling. To make the grooves, I did it on the router table. So let me show you how I did that. So on my router table, I installed a rabbiting bit that has a 1/2 inch cutting depth. So I adjusted the height and made my first pass, and then I went back and ran it again to make the second pass. I raised the bit just a bit to where I would have a 3/4 inch total gap, and it would allow that 1x material to slide in and out, not too tight and not too loose, just kind of perfect. If you don't have a router table, you can also do it with a handheld router, or you can even use a dado stack on your table saw. However, both of these methods, in my opinion, are a little bit more dangerous, and they just take quite a bit longer. So I did it on my router table, but you can accomplish this other ways. The method I'm going with to join the frame together is mortise and tenon, and I'm doing that using my domino. I laid out a few lines where I thought that the mortises would work, and then I used a speed square to make some really good reference marks so that I could start with drilling out the mortises. Anytime I use my domino, I like to leave at least one of the mortises with the tight setting, and then all the rest of them I do the loose setting. It just makes it easier for assembly and makes it easier to do my test fittings. Once I verified that the alignment was going to be good on all of the frame, it was time to go ahead and put it all together and do a quick dry fit. I put all my tongue and groove boards in on one side, and held it together with a clamp, and then worked my way all the way down until I got up to the top, and then I clamped the rest of it together and started to work on the other side. As you can see here, it's a pretty straightforward process, and it's looking like it's going to fit really well. I did have to make a few minor adjustments, but overall I was pretty happy with the dry fit. So the next step was to go ahead and glue it up. Next time I make a door like this, I'm definitely going to make sure that I joint and plane my boards, because they just weren't flat or straight, and it did cause a few issues while I was trying to align everything, but overall it looks great. The next step was to just take it all apart and glue it back together using some exterior glue. I didn't think it was important to record that, but that's what I did, and the door here is glued up together, and the next step is to get it ready for stain. I used my Wagner Control Pro 170 to apply the stain, and then I'm using a product called Ready Seal, which is like an outdoor sealer / stain. It's really awesome, it works really well, and I use it on all my exterior projects. I went with the pecan color to match with the fence that I made, and once you just apply it on the front side, what I did was I used my stack racks to flip it over and then apply it on the back side. These stack racks are awesome. I've never used them before, but as you can see, it's really easy to handle this thing, and it works really well. Once I stain both sides, it takes about 15 minutes to dry. So while I was drying, I started the next process, which was getting the rail installed so that I could hang the door. To hang the doors, I used a kit from National Hardware. Now, the only issue was that they don't make a kit long enough for the span that I needed, so I did have to put 2 of their kits together. It wasn't that big of an issue, but it was something to keep in mind. But I'm going to show you exactly how I installed them. They don't make a single 12-foot kit, so I had to use 2 of their 6-foot kits and join them together. And then I also used some of their soft close hardware. The installation of the rails was pretty straightforward. They do have pre-drilled holes at every 16 inches, which is supposed to line up perfectly if you had like a regular traditional framing where it needs to be at every 16 inches. Each stud is placed there. However, in my case, I didn't need to worry about that, because the way that I built the shed, I do have a long header that spans the entire shed. I did it this way for this reason, so that I wouldn't have to worry where the holes went. I basically just had to line them up, mark my initial holes, and go ahead and drill it in. I did use a longer level. I know you guys are gonna comment on that. I was just kind of showing you what you can do if you want to kind of test the level. Once I had the one side of the rail, it was time to install the other one. I repeated the same steps on the other side and kept going all the way through until the rail was completely installed. This process was really simple. It doesn't really take that long, and as long as you have a good set of power tools, you can pretty much knock this out in an hour or so. Next, it was time to install the soft close feature. So you install these actuators on the left and the right side of the span where you want the doors to close, and then in the middle of the door you install a catch so that it catches on the door and shuts it exactly where you want it to close. Installation is pretty straightforward. You just kind of line it up where you need it and then use a hex wrench to tighten it onto the track. This allows you to be able to make final adjustments, and after a few tries you can kind of get it perfect. And once I have it on both sides, then I can test the soft close and see how it works. As you can see here, it kind of catches on it and then slowly comes to the final position. And I decided to test the other side as well to kind of see how it was going to work. I tested the other side, and as you can see, it came to a perfect stop. This is something I didn't even know existed, but it looks really cool, and I'm glad that I installed it. Adding that was a perfect final touch to this build. I'm really happy how everything came out, and I just wanted to thank National Hardware for sponsoring these tracks, and their hardware is awesome. So yeah, this door came out great. I'm going to include links to everything down below so you guys can check that out. So thank you guys for watching, and until the next time.